this video is probably going to get into the meat and potatoes of what you are looking for with ConnectBLC. So you'll notice I am here on my dashboard. I have a couple of different widgets. The first thing I want to point out is the bulletins widget. So they have started to do tips of the day, and honestly, these are extremely helpful. I wish they would have been there the very first day we rolled out, but you will have links to different articles on how to do certain things. You will also, some of these I believe go directly to videos instead of articles, but if you are not actually reading the tips of the day and you're just ignoring them, especially the ones that look like this, read these. It's going to help you. Click the link, spend a little bit of time to learn, and it will absolutely make a difference for your business. So this video is going to jump right into the searches. So I am going to hover over search. Notice I have a couple of different options. I have general search, which will populate different ways to search. So residential is exactly what you think. You're searching for a residential single family home, maybe a condo, townhome, things like that. Residential income is what we used to call multifamily. Now it is called residential income. Land, that's pretty self-explanatory. Land sale, land lease, cross property. So cross property is going to search any type of property. You can use this if you tend to work with a lot of investors. It's probably going to be the most helpful because they might be looking for multifamily, they might be looking for single family. You can look for all of that in one search. I do not work with too many investors, so I would use residential most likely, or occasionally the residential income or cross property. The other options are you can do a street address search. I find this to not be helpful at all. This is just simply where you would put in the street address and you would find the results that match that. I could be wrong. Maybe it is very helpful, but I don't understand the functionality. So if someone does, please leave a comment. Let me know. The next would be searching via the listing ID. Again, I think this is unhelpful. Why would I have an entire search to search with listing ID? I'm going to show you how you can do this right underneath the residential search, which is essentially getting rid of even having this as an option. The next thing would be a tax search. So that is going to take us into the new tax system, which is CRS. I am not going to go into this system, but I will tell you that you can add up to, I believe, 4 counties right here, and these will always be saved. In order to do a search, if I wanted to search an address, I have to have a county up here, or it will not search. I usually only work in Boone, Hamilton, and Marion, so that's why those are the 3 I have there. If I then wanted to type out an address, so let's look at maybe the office. 342 Massachusetts Avenue, brings me up the drop-down menu. I have to click the option from the drop-down menu, and then you're going to see you get the map, you get some of the location info, you get the owner info. The 2 probably most important things is this does link with Remine. So if you wanted to try and get some more owner information, maybe you're calling expireds, FSBOs, I'm not sure, you can click that. If you wanted the report card, the property report card, or I'm sorry, the property record card, you would click that link. So it does have a lot of functionality to jump around to different resources that are available. Again, this is a new system. This is not something that came from the same developer that's making ConnectBLC. It just happens to have been changed out at the exact same time. Most of this should look the same as what we're used to. So since we're not doing that, I'm going to close that. Then we have Hotsheet. If you watched my previous videos, I do not use Hotsheet in this way at least. So again, I don't use this, but you absolutely could. You can go ahead and tour open houses. So I find that if I am looking for an open house, this could be helpful because I want to hold open an open house for my brokerage, or if I just want to know what open houses are happening in the next 7 days. It apparently looks like there are 106. Notice I have no filters on here. So there's that. Company inventory. I honestly have not clicked this yet. I guess this could be helpful. My guess is that it's not accurate though, because I am not a member of Keller Williams. I am with FC Tucker. So that tells me that this search is probably not actually accurate. And then member or agent slash membership. So I usually just search member. But if I wanted to know all of the members that have the last name Johnson, I can first see a count of how many there are. I don't know why you would do that. You could just click view results. Or let's say I wanted to know everyone from the office ID for my office. I could easily get to all of their records right here. Essentially what I just did by searching with Office ID is the same as if you were to do the search agent membership office search. It looks almost the same. If you happen to be like a boutique brokerage that you know the name is going to be spelt right, you could search that here. So I believe there's one that's called Circle Real Estate in Carmel. Apparently there are 5 that have the name Circle in them. So you can see that. I, again, am with FC Tucker, so if I were to search FC Tucker, I'm getting 33 matches here, but something as simple as taking away these periods is going to give me a totally different count. So I do not use the search under office. I usually search with member, and then I just search with the office ID. I've never done this with just Tuck before, but that apparently is how I could see every single agent that is under any code to do with a Tuck office. So if you're with Keller Williams, I can't remember the numbers of the offices, but you could just put in KWin and you would be able to find all the agents in that office. Anywho, let's jump into the real meat and potatoes here, which is the general search and how you're going to help your clients. So if we jump into residential, you're going to notice that my search here looks a little different. I told you that I don't use the listing ID search because I have the listing ID field right here. And if I wanted to search multiple listing IDs, what I could do is just put a comma or a semicolon in between them. In fact, let's test that right now. So right now you're seeing I'm looking at residential, active for sale, single family, or condos. I'm going to look between 100,000 and 150,000. That's giving me 371 matches. That is way too much for me to want to look at right now. So let's look between 100 and 115. That's giving me 88 matches. I'm going to try and narrow it down a little bit more by looking for Indianapolis. I did not spell that right. Notice that it does give me an option in the dropdown. I need to actually click the option in the dropdown. I can't just type in the name. Now I'm down to 53 matches, so that didn't really help me. Let's go 100 to 105. Okay, we've got 18 matches. If I wanted to see those matches, I'm going to click View Results, this blue button that says View Results. If I wanted to see the photos, I would just click the photo. If I wanted to go into the actual listing, I could click anywhere on the line. It doesn't have to be the ID. So let's say I want to see this 3930 North Carolina Avenue. I'm in here. I can see everything. It's great. It's beautiful. All right. But let's say I want to copy this BLC number, because I'm just going to test something here for a second. Sure. And I wanted to get another BLC number as well. I don't know why this would ever apply, but let's say it did. If your client said, hey, I really like these 3 listings and here's the BLC numbers, my test here is, can I put them in with a comma between them and just get those 2 matches? The answer is yes. So again, I would never use the listing ID search field because I can just plug the numbers in here and search multiples by just putting a comma and a space. All right, great. Let's go ahead and clear that out now that we know that works, and talk through the next thing. So the other thing that you were able to do here was search with street address. In your search, if you have not already gone in and changed these defaults, you should have the address field, the city, I believe the postal code in the county already in here. So if I had a client who wanted to look at a house, or let's say they wanted to look at 5 houses, and they sent me the addresses of those 5 houses, I could simply type in the addresses. So let's go find a couple. So this is 192, 210, and then I know there's a condo for sale at 757 Mass. So if I go back, I could put in 192, comma, 210, comma, 757. Now notice it pulled back 9 matches because I didn't filter with like a street name or anything. I'm just filtering with the house numbers. But then I could come in here and realistically figure out what I want to see. I want to see Washington Street. My client said they like Jefferson. And then, you know what? They're really just throwing their search off and they want to look at this really nice condo on Mass Ave. I could change this drop down from show to selected. And now I'm just looking at the 3 my client sent me. So again, the only reason I'm showing that is under search, you do have the option to search with street address, but you can do the exact same thing by just going under residential and putting in the house number. And if there are multiples, again, you separate them by a comma. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And let's jump into this. I have organized this in a way that makes sense to me. You can organize your fields and you can add or subtract fields by clicking the Add Remove Fields button right here. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And notice I can click and drag to choose what order I want these to appear in. Let's say I wanted to add something. What is something that I might want to add? Oh, here's one. So in the previous system, we were able to search by primary bedroom on the main level. Now that is a filter that MyWare is working on adding back into the system here, but a quick workaround, and it might not even be the official workaround, but what I have come up with for myself is to search for main level bedrooms. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. I can click either the plus or anywhere on this line to add it, and notice it appears here at the bottom. Let's say I want that to be up here. Notice I can't like easily click and drag, so you might need to like drop it and pick it back up, but I want it to be under my bedroom's total field. So I'm going to click Save Changes, and you're going to see that it has now added that search criteria to this search. But here's the thing that it didn't. It only changed this search. It did not change my default. So if I want to change my default, what I need to do is I need to click this defaults gear, and then I need to save current as my default. And then I'm going to check make this my primary default search and click OK. What that means is every time that I come in to do a search now, so I go under search, general search, residential, that field is going to be saved right there. In the place that I put it, it'll always be there unless I choose to go in and remove it again. I find this to be really helpful to already have the fields in there that I most likely am going to filter by and search by for my clients. Most of us use the same fields every time. I mean, we're all different in how we run our businesses, but we probably do something similar regardless of which client we're working with. So that is one thing. To give you an idea of why I was talking about this as a workaround, if I wanted a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, but my clients are like, you know what, we really want the primary bedroom to be on the main level. Notice when I didn't have a minimum in there, I had 863 matches. Then I put in 1. Now I'm down to 371 matches. This type of client is probably also looking for a garage. Let's say they want a basement, and they specifically want to be in Carmel or Fishers, and they have a max budget of $550,000. I now have 3 matches. Now you may be saying, but that doesn't guarantee that the bedroom on the main level is the primary bedroom. And you're correct. It does not guarantee that. However, rather than sending 13 matches to my client that they now have to go through and figure out which ones actually even have a bedroom on the main level, I have filtered it down to 3 to show my clients that I'm getting them as close as possible to the criteria they gave me. You can click into these, and if you scroll down to the section that talks about the room sizes and the level that they are on, you can quickly find if the primary bedroom is on the main level or not. It will not be that case for all 3 of these, is my guess, but again, at least I attempted to get it down as close as possible. And note, MyBore is working to fix that filter. So yeah, like I said, it wasn't perfect. This one is on the upper level. So anywho, we just talked about how to set your default search criteria. Another thing that I personally have found helpful, I'm going to go ahead and kind of clear all these by going to a new search. Something that I have found helpful when looking for an open house is adding in here the listing. Let's see. It's actually under list office, BLC ID. So I tend to hold open homes that are held, or the listing is with FC Tucker. So if I were to save changes, that is now going to be down here. But if I just put in Tuck, there are no matches. And we don't have that wild card of an asterisk anymore, at least as far as I know. No, it still says no matches. So what you would do is you would turn on this toggle switch that says Show Advanced Options. And you're going to notice a couple of these fields now say equals any or equals none. So I would put, instead of exact match for Tucker, maybe it contains the word Tuck, which will now get me all of the houses that are listed by a Tucker office. So that is a little bit of a specialized feature, like specifically looking for an open house. Let's say you have a client, it's not really a good one. I mean, you could go under features. Features is actually every single thing in the house. So you're seeing like accessibility features, you're seeing appliances. You'd click this blue next arrow to get a little further. So let's say a wine cooler. They want a wine cooler in their house. So it must have a wine cooler. Apparently there are 16 matches where somebody put in that there is a wine cooler, and it is listed with Tucker. So if I view matches, hopefully these all have wine coolers in their kitchens. Well, I mean, I would assume it's in the kitchen at least. I guess it could also be in a basement area. Sorry, I'm just checking it to make sure it's working. Wine cooler right there in the photo. All right. So that kind of highlights how to use the Show Advanced Options button. Again, the best use I have found is when you're looking for a house to hold open, if you do that with your business, and you work for a brokerage that has multiple offices. Rather than searching each individual office, you can do it this way and just put contains. All right, let's go ahead and reset our search. I'm going to turn off the advanced options toggle since I don't really use it. The other features of this page are over here in the bottom right. So all of my previous searches, notice they're saved right here. So for this one, I did look for active that were for sale that were single family below 165,000, 2 or more beds, 1 or more full bath, 1 or more half bath, similar to a 1 level, and I did a circle radius. If I wanted to rerun this search, I could click anywhere in here. I don't have to click run necessarily. I could just click here, and it's going to run it. Notice there are only 13 matches. So that is our previous searches. If you do have saved searches, so I have, let's see. I set up a save search so that I know what's happening in Heron Morton. Active pended sold within the last 6 months. If I wanted to go ahead and click that, it's saying that there were 1,216 matches. It seems really high, but that is what your saved searches are. Your saved searches are exactly what you think they would be. Also, I could just search here to kind of filter rather than scrolling all over the place and just look for Broad Ripple. I have a possible open houses for Broad Ripple. It is actually getting sent to me, so that's not a save search, that's an automatic search. But this is a save search. See, there's no client tied to it. I could click that. See everything going on that is currently active in the Broad Ripple area, or at least what I drew as the Broad Ripple area. All right, I'm gonna go back to reset all of that. So we have talked about how to set your defaults. We have talked about the Add Remove Fields button. We've talked about the Show Advanced Options button. We've talked about your previous searches and your saved searches. I don't really fuss with this. Now, I have been helping a lot of agents, and sometimes the number of filters does not match how many filters are actually applied. I found that it doesn't have any impact on the number of matches you get, though, so whatever that ghost filter is not making a difference, so I don't fuss with that. But let's go ahead and do a search really quickly. Let's say I got a new client, and they want to buy a house in Noblesville, and currently they don't want any condos, so I'm going to take that off. They only want single family homes. They would prefer it to have a minimum of 4 bedrooms again, a total of 3 bathrooms. They don't really care if they're full or half baths, but what's really important to them is they want a basement. Notice I'm getting down to 23 matches. At this point, I'm really just trying to get it even lower. So they said they don't want any house that was built before 2010, because again, I'm just trying to get that matches as low as possible. I have 11 matches now. So if you're like me, you're probably going to go look at those matches before you create the auto search. So again, I probably don't need to look at all of this detail, but I would probably just click into the photos really quickly and see like, oh yeah, that looks like a good match. Go to the next one. Oh, this one isn't even finished yet, but you know, that's great, whatever. So if I wanted to save this search, notice there's a floppy disk icon right here. Also, if you go back to here, there is the save search and floppy disk icon. You can click either one of them, it doesn't matter. You would click save search and you're going to get a pop-up window. And this is where you can choose to make it an auto search or not. So do I want to tie it to a client? Sure. Let's tie it to myself. That way I'm not sending it to some client. Let's go ahead and name it. So this is a test. So I'm going to call it test. Again, I could save it as a manual search if it's just something I want to check every now and then, or an automatic. I'm going to set it as an automatic search. You'll notice your next option is how often do you want it to run? I'm going to start backwards. So do I want it to be real time? So ASAP is what it was in Matrix. Do I want it to run every week on Sunday at a specific time? Or do I want it to run every 2 weeks? Do I want it to run every 3 weeks? You have that functionality. Do I want it to run every day at 8 a.m.? Do I want it to run every 2 days, like every second day at 8 a.m.? Or 8 a.m., I'm sorry. The one thing that I think we did lose functionality here is under weeks, you cannot select multiple days in the week. Even if you hold your command or your control key, it is only one day. So the way you would get around that is you would go, I want to send this to my client every other day at 8 a.m. Okay. This next feature I think actually got better with the new system. So you could pick any time of the day. You can send it to them at 8 a.m. You can send them an update again. Oop, I started typing. You can send them another update at 12. You can send them an update at 4. And you can send them an update at 8 p.m. So every other day they're going to get 4 emails if there are matching results. There is an option to send an email if there are 0 matches. If you so choose to select that, you can. So we're going to go ahead and use this as our example. Upon saving, do I want to immediately run this search and send it to the client, or do I want to wait until it's supposed to go, which is every 2 days at 8 a.m. would be the next one. So until the next scheduled one. When you're first setting up an auto search, I recommend you just run it immediately. Why not just get the results in front of your client? Also, when you're first setting it up, I recommend that you find all matches. If you were to click the question marks, it will give you a little blurb about each one of these. Choose this option when you want to create a new search and you want to find all current matches for your criteria, emailing them to a client if other applicable options are set. When you want to create a new search and you want to exclude all listings currently matching the criteria, assuming they have already been reviewed and or emailed to the client. So again, I recommend just click view all matches or find all matches. This next feature is the expiration feature. So your search will expire after 180 days max. That's as far out as you can push it as of right now. I have set my system to default that to at least 120 days out, but I always recommend just open this drop down and go as far out as you can. Now, when that is going to expire on July 24th, I have a couple of options. I can receive a message X number of days before that, at which point I will come in here and I will push the date out even further. Or I can choose, and you can pick whatever day you want to receive that notification of it expiring soon. I find that if I pick too soon, I might overlook the email because that's not top priority for me. If I pick too far out, I may just delete the email on accident because, again, I was just cleaning out my inbox, I guess. So I pick 4 days. You can do whatever works for you. I would never check this first checkbox, which says delete this search when it expires. On the off chance that it does expire, you can turn it back on after it expires. But if you delete it, it's just gone. So I would never check this, but you do have it as an option. Send me a notification when the search runs. So this would be to BCC yourself on the emails. I always do this because I want to know what's getting sent out to my clients. This one, send notification to client when the search runs. A lot of agents went in and changed their searches from when they pulled over from Matrix, but they did not actually check this checkbox to send the search to the client. So your client may have reached out to you and said, like, I have not been receiving any emails. What's happening with this new system? I can almost guarantee you did not check this. So if you want to automatically send results to your client, you would check this. Send email notification even when there are no new/change listings, so that 0 match email. That is only populating because I have it set to notify the client of something at these specific times. Notice if I change it to real time, that option went away entirely. If I go back to send at a certain time and day, that option comes back. So you can choose if you want to send your client an email that just says, hey, I ran your search. Like I said, there were no matches. If you did want to change the messaging in your initial message, you can see what the default is. Now this is my default. I have already created this. If you watch the previous videos, you will notice that you can change your defaults, or you can customize it for this one person. You can also customize the email that they will receive for any future matches, or you can preview what's kind of already set to happen. Let's see. So if I wanted to go ahead and save this, I would click save. And then you get a pop-up window which asks you, okay, you finished that, so now what do you want to do? I don't really pay attention to this. I always just click OK. So let's go ahead and show you what that email is going to look like in terms of what your client is going to see and what you are going to see. So if I go into Gmail, it goes into my personal account first. This is the title of the email. This is what it looks like. Okay. And then notice it gives me a little photo and a slight little summary. If I click the photo, it doesn't take me anywhere. So if your clients are having trouble accessing their portal you set up for them and they're clicking the photo, that's probably the problem. If they click View Details, it is going to take them into their search. So if we wait just a little bit here, it is showing me the details for this home. Some really cool features, very similar to what we had before. They can favorite it, they can not interest it, they can maybe, they can go ahead and write a comment. If there were any supplements attached to this listing, your client can actually now access those. So the seller's disclosures, the lead-based paint, they have access to it if they are attached to the listing. They can also just write a comment right here. So this looks great. Hit enter. That comment has now been put in there. You as the agent have now been notified that they sent that comment. If we scroll down though, some other really exciting features, obviously they do have a map view. It doesn't look like it's showing parcel number, parcel dimensions. I'm not sure if my board knows about that or not, but I'm sure they're probably working on it. Gives you some more of the overview, the room dimensions, things that you would expect, but it has this built-in calculator that your client can use right within this one listing. They can do a street view, they can do a bird's eye view, but I think probably the coolest thing is the calculator and then the street view. Like, have your client go, quote unquote, walk the neighborhood. Now this is a bad example since clearly it's a new neighborhood. But walk the neighborhood. See if this is a place that they feel they would like before you drive out there to show them the house. I mean, why not? Let's just go on a little stroll and see like, oh, that house looks really nice. There's not cars all over the road, so it seems like there's not a lot of guests that really travel through here. This is great. I love this. Let me reach out to my agent and say I want to see this. So again, that takes them into the listing. Another option for them to get to the details if they just wanted to get into their home page. Now it's only going to show them a max of 10, and it clearly says that right here. You can't send them more than 10 summaries and photos, but they can click here to view details or access their homepage. So if they click there, again, that is going to take them into their search. That should load any moment. And notice now it is actually showing 11 results. Even from this view, they can easily favorite, dislike, maybe leave a comment. It's just down here. Again, if we click into here, they would be able to see additional documents if they were on here. Now this is a new feature. They may be working out some bugs with this, but you know, usually with the new builds, you can find like floor plans, you can find the specs. It seems all of these are showing 0 additional documents. So maybe I have something turned off that I don't know how to turn on, but just know that that feature is there. Oh, I'm sorry. When you put in a listing, actually now, and I haven't done a video on this, when you put in a listing, you can choose whether or not the consumer can see the additional documents. So since most of these probably pulled over from Matrix, and that wasn't a feature in Matrix, they probably all just show 0. Anywho, they can favorite, they can thumbs down, they can leave a comment. Their dashboard is going to look like this. So in a previous video, I talked about how you can recommend service providers. So I personally am going to utilize this to recommend lenders. I think if I'm working with somebody who is set up on a search, chances are I need to recommend a lender to them. I do not recommend inspection companies until I have a client under contract. I find that there's no reason to share that information until then. So I would not put them there, but you could. Plumbers, electricians, HVAC specialty, you can recommend all of that. Now you'll notice that I have sent this client, aka myself, 2 CMAs in the past. I have some messages back and forth. I have tons of listings that get sent to me. But if you click under my searches, you'll notice that it categorizes them under each search. Now, I have tons. But this way, they're not all getting tied together. Like if I just wanted to know what was happening for possible downtown open houses, I could click into here and just see those 39 matches. Right? And then I can quickly say like, oh, well, this one's already being held open on Sunday, so I don't want to do that one because someone already has it. This plot of land, which I wouldn't hold open anyways, is already pending. That's great. Like, I can kind of filter it by the search, and so can your clients by going under my searches. They'll be in separate folders. Also, you can see everything that your client has favorited or left a comment on. I can see all my comments right here. This looks great. This looks nice. Apparently, I just hit enter here because there's actually nothing there. And then your client can search their own stuff. So let's say they want to find something between 200 and 250 with a minimum of 4 bedrooms. Well, that's going to have no results. Let's say a minimum of 3 bedrooms and at least 2 baths. So I did not narrow it down by an area, but apparently there are 14 matches that match that criteria. Now, obviously, they could add more filters, and they can actually click into any of these, even though you did not send it to them. So let's say they're like, I really like this one on Knowlton. And they can say, I really like this one. You personally did not send this to them. However, they're going to leave a comment on it. You will get an email about it. Notice this one, actually, they have gone in, and you can see the docs. So as a consumer, I can now see the seller's disclosure because this listing agent allowed me to do that. That is huge. being able to direct your clients to the documents. Huge. So, anywho, if we go back into comments, there's now this comment as well. So that is what your clients are seeing. We can go ahead and close out of that, close out of that. At the bottom here, some agents have pointed out to me that they do not like that the search criteria populates right here. I do not know how to change that. I don't know if it can be changed. If it really bothers you, you can ask MyBor, but honestly, I don't see what the fuss is. Now your client can unsubscribe. Obviously, you don't want them to do that, but that is there. So that is the client-facing email. If I now go into my agent portal, notice it says ConnectMLS property interest notification, Andrew's activity, he added a comment about a listing. Click the following link to see more details. If I click this link, it's going to have me sign in. Actually, I've never seen this before. So maybe they are working on this right now. But normally it takes you to a page where you have to sign in to ConnectBLC. I find that to be cumbersome, so I just go back to my ConnectBLC. I click the person with the house icon. I would find myself. Something is glitching, I apologize. Yeah, because I went in as the client and the agent. Give me one moment here. I confused the system. So if I go in under client again, this is what the client should look like for an agent. It's going to show the last viewed and recent interests here. So I'm going to click my name. I'm going to click favorites. And I can see the comments here, but you used to be able to see them under favorites. Anywho, you did receive an email that clearly told you that the client showed interest in some property. They added a comment on a listing. It doesn't tell you which listing. So I would recommend going in here, going to your client just like I did, and then, oh, you can go right here and do listing commented, and that's going to show me the listings that that client has commented on. I can also choose to just look at the listings that that client has favorited. Apparently I have never favorited anything, so there's that. But yeah, you will get an email telling you that they did some sort of activity, and then it's going to say if they commented, if they favorited. I currently am just going back into here and looking. This link is supposed to take you to it, but I believe it is broken. As of right now, MyBor is aware. They are trying to fix it. This is a copy of the search that I sent to myself. So this is what the agent receives. Notice it gives you a blurb here telling you that that's what the agent receives. This stuff between the dashed lines is what was actually sent to the client. And then it says to preview the web page, you can click this link. This link doesn't work. So if I click it, it has me sign in. I don't want to sign in. If I click view details, it takes me to a dead link. Again, MyBor's aware of this. They're fixing it. So even though the view details button on the agent email does not work, you can clearly see that the client was able to access that search. Let's see. So we have set up a search. So let's just go ahead and rerun this test search. Notice it says 0 matches. That's because show updates since last run is checked. I'm going to go ahead and change that to find all matches for current criteria. That has thrown a few people where it says 0 matches, so pay attention to that. If I click view results, notice the columns here. My columns are going to look different than your columns because I set them up this way. So that every time I get search criteria, this is the default. I am going to go ahead and show you how you can do that. So notice my dropdown says primary view for all results. Yours probably says table. So yours actually looks like this. You don't have all the information at the end that I had. Your info button's way over here instead of over here where I had mine. So if that's what yours looks like and you want to change it, open the dropdown and click Edit Columns. You will not see this thing that says Primary View for all results. That is my default name for this table. Click Edit Columns, and let's say you decided I want to know the list agent name. And honestly, I don't really care about the list agent or the list office BLC, but I do care about the list office name. And then let's say I want that additional info button to be way up here at the beginning. So I'm going to put it right after status. If I wanted to, I could then go to advanced. And this is telling you how the column is going to be named. So it's going to be called photo. You can see right there, it's called photo. Let's say I wanted to make a custom name, and I want to call this image. And I like it to be in all caps. That is how it's going to display as soon as I hit save. The next thing is I need to name this, so I'm going to name this test. I am going to go ahead and make this my default report for residential. And you do have the choice of either displaying them horizontal or vertical. I just left it horizontal, I don't mess with it. But this is probably what's going to be the most helpful. These sort fields right here. So you probably want to sort by status first so that all of the actives are at the top. I personally then sort by days on market, but I don't believe I added that as a field. So we're going to then sort by price. So the least expensive active listing is going to be at the top, and the most expensive active listing is going to be at the bottom. And then if you wanted to search by a third criteria, you could. I'm not going to, but if you wanted to, you could. And then let's click Save and see how it changes. Notice image is now, what was called photo is now called image. Notice it is searching actives, which is the only thing the search is set up for, but 538,000, then 539, then 589. So it is sorting it by status first, and that's why you see the 1 in parentheses right there. And then it's sorting it by price second. Again, this is not how I sort things. I'm actually going to just show you what I do. So I'm going to change back to the primary view. I probably need to reset it as my default since I did just change that. So make my default. I sort by status, and then I sort by days on market. Because sometimes I may be only looking at active things, but sometimes I may be looking at active, pending, and sold listings. So I need to see the difference. Let's go ahead and save those changes. I'm also going to show you how to delete. So I'm going to delete the test table name. Let's see. So now that we've seen how to set up your search defaults, let's do a search as if you were going to be running a quick CMA on a house that a client was wanting to put an offer in on, or a house that a client wants to sell. So I will do residential. Most of the time, if you're doing that quick CMA, you're probably doing it from a radius search. And that feature is a little different. So let's go ahead and do that first. Click map results. You're going to click what looks like a bullseye kind of. You're going to click this and you're going to type in the address that you want to do that search around. So let's do now the kicker is you cannot just put this in. You do actually need to put in the city and the state and then hit enter. Notice it's going to drop a pin on that address. Then you're going to open this tools bar, click the circle, and it's going to ask you how many miles out from that point do you want to search. I'm just going to put 1 to start with. I'm going to hit enter, and then I can see that there are 67 matches. Let's say I decide, nope, I just want to do a half a mile. I can then hit apply. There are now 15 matches. So 15 homes that are active within this radius search. But now I need to do a couple of more filters, right? Not every one of those 15 houses is going to be a comp. So let's say I want houses that have at least 2 beds. This is probably not going to filter anything out. At least 2 beds, at least 2 baths. Oh, it did. So we're going to go with 4 matches then. So if I click into here, I can now see that there are 4 matches. Let's say I've already gone through, I've clicked the photos. They all look very comparable. I want to use them. I'm going to select all 4 of them. And I'm going to do a quick CMA, which is this red chart with a squiggly line. When I click that, notice the listing ID numbers are actually links. So I could click any of these links to actually see the photos. I can see the bed count, the bath count, the garage, whether it has a fireplace. They did add price per square foot. Now, the only problem here is notice this house has 1,308 square feet above ground. I'm fairly certain that BG means below ground. So they also have a full basement, and it's telling you the price per square foot is $191.13. If I were to quickly pull up a calculator, unless they have fixed this recently, $249,999 divided by 1,308, the square feet, is equal to $191.13. Oh, it looks like they did update it. Previously, this column, price per square foot, was including basement square feet. So let's just test it on a couple more to see if it's actually truly been fixed. So this second one is 209,500. It only has 1,560 square feet above ground MU, which comes to a price of $134.29 per square foot. So yeah, they have updated this. This price per square foot is main and upper only, which is going to actually help you the way it should. You can see the days on market, then you can see the high, the low, the average, and the median. Now, what do you do with this? You could send this to your client, but right now it only has active data. So let's try something that might have some pended and sold data in it. So we're going to look for pended and sold within the last, let's say 45 days, because I don't really want too many matches. From here, you can actually see the matches right there in the background. I watch it to see if I need to change it. There is no save button on this when you put in the days. You just hit X and it saves it. So view results. Again, I'm going to say all of these are wonderful. Let's just grab all of them. Let's do a quick CMA with all of them. Now, You can see the averages for the active. You can see the averages for the pended. And you can see the averages for the sold. Notice the only difference, or at least the only difference I have found, is that the sold listings list the list price and the sold price. So just to test it, this says that it's sold at $105,000. It says that there is 1,100 square feet above ground. So it should be $95.45 price per square foot. That is also calculating correct. So that's really good news. That was not happening just as of the last 24 to 48 hours. If I did want to email this to a client, I would have to click email. Now, you do have the option to just, let me cancel out of this really quick. You have the option to print and then just save as a PDF. I don't recommend that because then the links do not work. So your client may say like, okay, you sent me the data, but I need to see the photos of the house to see what's comparable. If you send them a PDF, those links will not work. So instead, you could email them. Let's go ahead and just tie this to me. That way you can see what it looks like. I am also going to BCC myself as the agent. This is the message, what it's going to say. I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to go ahead and hit send. So if I go back into here, go back to my personal email, it says, I prepared a comparative market analysis for the property at, oh, apparently I didn't put the address in. But again, you could have changed that message. Click here to sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to sign in. This is me accessing it as the client. Notice the top thing here says I have sent to CMA. Also, you can just click right here. I'm going to click over here. Notice they're all chronological. I'm going to click the top one. And now as the client, I may be looking at this data. Hopefully you as the agent are talking them through it. But you could say, well, why don't you go ahead and click on, let's see. Let's click on 1459 North Euclid Avenue so that you can see why I say this is a comparable for your house. Look how nice that roof is. I mean, they really did some great updates here in this home. I think your house is very comparable to this. This is something that an appraiser will likely call a comp when they do your appraisal. That's why I recommend that we price similarly to this home at $194 a square foot, or whatever your conversation is. But my point is they can click in to actually see the homes. So that is what it looks like from the client's email. You as the agent will also receive an email. You're just BCC'd showing that you sent it to them. So that's nothing really new there per se. So that is how to do a search. That is how to set your search criteria as a default. I'm probably about to get kicked out of MyBore Central or ConnectBLC because I signed in as a client. But you now know how to set your search criteria defaults. You know how to set your search results defaults. You know how to do a quick CMA. That was a lot, but hopefully it was helpful. Again, this is probably the most helpful video that I have made, but if you have any questions, comments, need any help, let me know. Again, I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have. All right, thanks.